So, you want to be a contractor. Ever wonder what it takes to become a contractor? The journey they go on to get where they are now, or the crazy things they see and hear on the job site? Well, you're in the right spot. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor, the podcast. Join your host, Mike Fisher, as he talks to owners of construction companies from all over about how they got started, how they run their business, and some of the craziest stories they've experienced on their job sites. And now, your host, Mike Fisher.
Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor. This is episode number 4. Our guest today is Mike Hannig, owner of AMS Construction. I guess I didn't ask you about the pronunciation, which I normally do. Did I get that right, Mike?
You got it correct.
Perfect. Awesome. So appreciate you joining us today. Thanks for coming on. You look like you've got a very studious home office there that you use.
Yeah, you like my library?
Yeah, I know that's very extensive for sure. You must be the most well-versed contractor I've met for sure.
I read a lot. This is part of my what my son does for us. He does a lot of graphics, and this is just
Nice.
Yeah, so he set this
Is that a
up for me.
little trap door back there, or what do you have?
That's my window, actually.
Oh, is it really?
Yep.
With a little shade on?
Yeah, it's just a shade.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, give us your story. We want to know how you kind of got to where you are now and how you got into this industry and all the fun stuff in between.
All right. Well, I was going to say it all started in a 5,000 watt radio station in Fresno, but that was Ted Baxter. So, actually, it kind of started back when I was young. My brother had moved to North Dakota and worked in the oil field, and I needed some work to get some money to go to school. So I went to work in the 80s, early 80s, in Williston, North Dakota, as a roustabout. And as a roustabout, you do just about everything. You pour concrete, you build fences, you build buildings. You're a jack of all trades.
Right. Is that where you grew up? Was up there?
No, I actually grew up in Minnesota, small town
Okay.
in Minnesota, southwest corner, Tracy, Minnesota. But moved there when I was moved to Williston, North Dakota when I was 18. And like I said, I worked there for a couple of years to get enough money to put myself through college. And as a roustabout, I learned a lot of things. I learned how to do a lot of stuff. I was already very handy with my hands. I like to build stuff, like to take stuff apart, which is why I went into the career I initially went into, which was high tech. I was in Silicon Valley for about 15 years of my career, working for a high tech company called Zycad Corporation. It's no longer around.
As are most of those from that early.
Right. Yeah. Actually, interesting enough, if there's anybody on here is listening that's from high tech, company called Synopsys, which is still around, grew from Zycad. So that's a company that's still there. So
Awesome.
But anyway, that's how I got to California. They moved me from Minnesota to California. Worked there for many years. Was director of customer support there, so very familiar with how to take care of customers, which is important when you're in the construction industry. So then that company was bought out by another company. My boss and myself started our own company to maintain the equipment that we were building with the other company. Good experience there, starting up a company and having is a pretty easy startup since we had a built-in revenue. We didn't have to go out
Right.
for money. It was all there.
Yeah. All the customers were built in already. Yeah.
what we did need to do is find out what we were going to do in the future, because down the line the maintenance business is going to go away because the equipment gets old and it's no longer usable, right? So we developed some new technologies. We were bought out by another company. So sad story, 9/11 happened. The industry went kind of belly up for a while. I was out of a job. Our company closed. I was out of a job. I was out of a job for about, I think about a year and a half. And finally decided I just needed to do something. I wasn't finding, I was in my mid-40s, wasn't finding a job in high tech. And I decided, well, I know how to use my hands. So I answered an ad that I saw in the newspaper for a handyman. So here I go from this corporate job where
it all comes full circle, right?
Yep, suit and tie, and now I'm a handyman. And I went to work for this company in Oakland called Honeydew Repair, which they are still around. They've rebranded themselves now as HDR Remodeling, partly due to my involvement with them. So I went in as just a handyman making minimum wage. Within about 6 months, the owner and I mean, he knew he had someone who was a little more than a handyman.
Right. A little more qualified.
Yep. So I started kind of taking over some of the business and kind of pushed that company towards doing bigger jobs because they had all this knowledge and they were just doing handyman work.
Right.
So kind of they morphed into a remodeling company. And, after a couple of years, I decided, well, why am I doing this for someone else? I might as well just go out and do it, right? So I now had enough experience to go out and get my license. So I went, took the test, got my contractor's license, and started my own company in 2009.
Awesome timing.
Yeah. Another downturn, but you know what?
Right. Yeah.
If you can start a company in 2009 and survive, I think you're going to do okay, right?
Right. Yeah.
So started out with me and just one helper, and we did all the work. Little tough getting jobs back then. I used, some of the sites that were out there that helped you, like Home Advisor. It wasn't Home Advisor then. I don't remember what it was.
Was there an Angie's List back then, right? And
there wasn't Angie's List. I didn't use that, but I did use some of the others. None of them are great, but in my opinion,
not a lot of disposable money at that time, right?
Right.
In the area.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but eventually, things started. I got a little name out there. You start getting word of mouth, which is really, in my opinion, that's in this industry. This is where you get a lot of your work, is just after having some experience and people know your name and, pass you on. So in 2000, I think the end of 2010, I got a random call from a guy in Michigan. He said, "Hey, I'm working with this company and they do prefab sheds. Do you want to try one?" And I go, "Sure." And so started a relationship with a company called Studio Shed out of Colorado. I don't know if you've heard of them. They've got quite a following now. They're a pretty good sized company. So we started doing a lot of work for them. Up to this point, I think I've done over 700 sheds now.
Wow.
So
I have to imagine that they're not like the small little 10 by 10 sheds, right?
Not anymore. I mean, we started out putting 10 by 12 sheds on railroad ties. That's where this whole thing started. Right. And so that was actually, a bit of fate that was, what's the word I'm looking for? It was
kind of instrumental or crucial
in our growth. Because at this point now, we do probably 80% of our business with them. And we're doing 80,
Well, it's like having a built-in sales team that you don't have to.
right. They send me the customers.
Yeah. Do you know, tracing back, obviously you had some roots there in Michigan and that area in Minnesota, but like, did you ever find out how they got a hold of you or how they came about you?
He was a consultant working for them, just looking for installers across the country.
So it's just dumb luck.
He just randomly found me on the internet or something and gave me a call, and so began that relationship, and it's strong up to this day. I think we have probably 4 ADUs going right now, and probably about 10 in the pipeline. So
that's what I was just going to ask, have they turned into kind of like the ADU has become a pretty popular sector lately.
Yeah, with the pandemic, I have to say we have not slowed down. We've actually increased our business because of the pandemic, because you've got all these people who are stuck in their house with their kids.
Yeah. Need a place to go for sanity. Yeah.
Probably just like you sitting there.
Yeah. If I had the space, I definitely would. But luckily, my wife works from home a couple days a week. But I try and schedule these when she's not here, and then the dogs are locked outside and the kids at school. So I've got a little bit of peace and quiet for a while. But yeah, no, I have to imagine that those things are pretty popular right now.
Yep, they are. So we do a lot of outdoor offices, man caves, shoe sheds, and then, like we said, even the big ADUs. Biggest one we've done up to this point is a 20 by 50, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Wow.
So.
And that all comes to you prefab?
Or
for the most part.
The way it is, it's not one of these drop-ins. So basically, they panelize it. So the shell goes up very quickly, right?
Right.
And then the rest of it is just finished, just like any other home or any other building.
And I'm sure they're sending you plans that they've already worked with the buyer on, and so you don't have to really.
Yep. So they have an engineer that they use that does all the structural plans, the Title 24, everything needed for California. And then we can either take that permitting process and do it through us and bring it to the city, or the customer can. So, yeah.
What about from a utility standpoint? Is that something you guys are doing in-house as well, or does
we do most everything ourselves when we're allowed. Some counties need, like, for instance, if you're tied into a lateral, you need a licensed plumber. Some counties don't. So all my guys know all the trades. I've taught them all the trades. Things like, main panel upgrades, that kind of stuff, we'll have subcontractors do that. But for the most part, we do, 90% of the work ourselves. So, which customers like, because they're not,
they're not seeing 15 different guys come in and out doing 15 different jobs. Yeah.
We're not saying, I got to wait on my sub for this. It's all us. So once we start a job, we kind of bring it all the way through. So.
And so what does your staff look like? How many guys you got? And then also what's your business breakdown there, or as far as percentage of work between that and the traditional remodel stuff?
Yeah. So
you guys are still doing.
Right now we run we're running 4 crews, 2-man crews. Basically, we found that just works best for us. If I need to pull, we combine crews sometimes if we've got a bigger tasks we got to do. But basically, my guys are a lead and a helper, and they're working through this. And we need more. We always need more. I've had hiring issues ever. People always ask, "Are you having trouble hiring now?" And I said, the answer is yes.
And it was yes a year ago, and it was yes 5 years ago, and it was.
And with next generation, a lot of kids will come and start work, and they go, "Geez, I didn't know it was going to be. I didn't know it was really going to be work."
Yeah. I actually broke a sweat today. I'm not sure if I could handle this.
So that's the kind of trouble you run into. So I agree with all the things you see out there about people saying, hey, don't push everybody to go to college. The trades are out there and they need to be done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And
100%.
there's good money to be made doing the trades. So, but anyway, so I had some finish answering your question. So yeah, and then I've got my two sons who work with me. Sean, my youngest son, actually went to college for project management, construction.
Oh, cool.
And he worked for a big company for several years and then decided, okay, that was enough. And now he works for me. He does a lot of he's taken over a lot of the estimating and then just the job supervision while I kind of sneak back a little bit and get ready for the good life, right?
If that ever happens, I feel like I've interviewed plenty of guys that have taken over, or even women that have taken over for their parents, and it's, yeah, mom or dad, they're still here, they're still every day in the office, and so you pull back as much as you can, but I feel like when you've done as much work as you've done, it's hard to kind of step away completely at any point.
We'll see how it goes. I think I'm going to be okay with it, but we'll see. So, and then my oldest son, he came back. He was working for totally different. He was more high-tech stuff, graphics, as you can see. He's the one that did this stuff. And he kind of just got tired of that whole industry and said, hey, you got something for me? And I go, yeah, we'll figure it out. So he's pretty much taken over doing more of the office work. And he's actually doing a lot of the design for us. He's really good at doing kitchen and bathroom design. So he's kind of taken over that part. He's doing the permitting. He does all the accounting and that kind of stuff for us. So when I look back, I think when I started, before these two came on, I already had 4 crews, and I was doing all this myself. And I go, I don't even know how I do it.
How do I do that? Yeah. How did I do it? Yeah.
No wonder I've got all these wrinkles and I'm ready, right?
Well, if nothing, I mean, it's doable, right? But now you get to do it at a higher level with a little bit more efficiency, I'm sure, right? So there's always a way to get it done, but now you're probably just doing it more efficiently and doing it a little bit more thoroughly, and probably not making as many mistakes either.
Absolutely, and we actually know when we're profitable, when we're not. Before I didn't have time to do anything about my taxes, right?
Yeah. That was only when they twisted your arm,
right? Yeah. So yeah.
So does the ADU company, do they keep you busy enough to kind of maintain that workflow? Do you see that kind of?
Well,
or are there other streams of revenue you guys are into?
We are. I hate putting all my eggs in one basket, which is why
that's kind of where I was getting at. Yeah.
They have enough business to keep us busy with 2 more crews. But I don't want all my eggs in that basket. So yeah, right now we have a couple of kitchen remodels going on. We have a bathroom remodel. We're doing a balcony. We do a lot of decks in the summer. I love doing decks. I get out there and do those myself because I like working outdoors and
being outside.
Yep. So yeah, but Studio Shed's about 80% of our business right now. There's a lot to do there, and we're always behind. So we dedicate like 3 crews to them most times. So.
Wow. Are there? I mean, if you were able to kind of grow the number of employees, and obviously if they were skilled enough, and would Studio Shed be giving you more of a area, or do they kind of have people in different locations, or how far out are you guys doing these?
Oh, yeah. So good question. Yes, we could get more business from them if they want. They have recently, early on, they had trouble finding good installers.
Right.
They kind of found a gem with us because we kind of took over and took care of problems and did everything for them.
Right.
And it was hard to find anybody else who would do that. And recently they have had much more success. So in the Bay Area, they have several different installers now. So they are, sending out that business stuff to the others. But with our relationship with them, we're their number one. So if I requested more, I would probably get more. But
And you have to manage more, and you have to deal with more, and
yeah, I
I
mean,
guys too, right?
I could use 2 more crews. Actually, that would be we have enough overhead right now and enough support system to handle 2 more crews. So 2 more crews.
So where are you looking for guys? Where have you been successful finding guys?
I mean, we tried using a recruiter for a while, or a staffing. Right. It worked out okay. We ended up with a guy from the staffing company, but it's expensive to do it that way, and you gotta have them on contract for 6 months or whatever until you pay out their contract, that kind of stuff. We've been using just services out there, Indeed, Monster, whatever.
Right.
And every now and then we'll find someone from there. We just hired a guy who's pretty good, who just randomly had lost his job and called. So most of my guys I've had for about over 10 years. So most of the guys I've had have been here almost from the start. So
wow.
And those are the leads, helpers kind of come and go, but my leads have been here for a while. So, which makes it easier on me, because they know more about building these sheds now than I do, because I haven't built one in a couple of years. So,
which is a good problem to have.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. But I was looking for more.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, are you seeing any change kind of recently? I mean, in the last year and a half, it's been pretty easy for guys to stay at home and still, make some money and be able to get by with all the government assistance that's out there. But are you seeing any sort of change to the positive in that lately? Are more guys walking through the door and looking, or is it still pretty tough?
I'm not really seeing it, but I don't know if we're pushing hard enough to get people in here.
Right.
I'm not doing that anymore. My boys are doing that, so I think we could try harder, but I haven't really seen an uptick.
Yeah.
It's still
hard
to find good people. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the work out there, and it's unfortunate that it's pretty easy for them to stay at home right now, but hopefully.
Yeah, I know. I mean, with the amount of work that's out there just in this industry, there should be no one without a job.
Right.
So.
Yeah, especially if we're willing to work a little bit, right?
I mean, especially California here with the fires and the rebuilding, and I mean, there is just a ton of work for construction. So
yeah. So where are you guys finding most? Obviously, with the studio shed company, that's obviously an income. But for the other 20 or 25% of your business on the remodel side, I know you said a lot of it's word of mouth. Is there anything you're doing from a marketing aspect on that side, or just kind of taking those as they come from a word of mouth standpoint?
Maintain a minimal website, and that is about it. It is truly word of mouth, and even with Studio Shed, it's word of mouth, because we'll do a shed for someone and they go, "Oh, you're a general contractor. Well, we want to redo our kitchen. We want to redo our So it just escalates from there,
Yeah.
So we really don't spend
if you don't really. And if you don't have the help, it's probably not. It doesn't make sense to spend the money on the marketing if you can't really take on the business right now anyway.
Right. I don't get too aggressive with it, because right now I'm telling customers, well, yeah, we'll do it, but it's going to be, we're probably into August of next year, realistically, for any new stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the kitchen and bathroom model, are there any big projects you guys have taken on, and how do those go?
Well, we're about to take on a couple of, we're working with a couple of other companies that, prefab type companies. We haven't done any jobs for them yet, but we've been out there estimating for a couple. So full 2-story kind of new home, but not stick built. I don't have the expertise in that. I don't really care to do that.
Right.
But I really like the prefab way and what the future's
Who
going.
is it up there in Tekra? Have you heard of them? I think they're out of Fresno.
I have not, no.
Okay. They do a lot of prefab stuff. They're the kind that will frame a whole building in a warehouse and have it up and framed in about 3 hours on site. It's pretty intense.
Yep, yeah. The trick is to get more efficient is have the panels that are fully done. I mean, they're closed.
Electrical and
They've
plumbing
been
and everything.
inspected already, so they've got a relationship with the different counties, different cities.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where a lot of the future's going, just to get things done quickly. But
Yeah, a little bit more efficiently.
yeah,
Especially
And-
tight
and
things
permitting,
get
'cause-
inside the yeah.
permitting is always an issue.
Yeah, and things get tighter inside city limits as things kind of grow up, right? It's hard to get all those trades in and out of there, right? When you can just come in and drop a wall panel in or a flooring system and get it all in one shot. Makes it a little bit easier for sure. So what are I have to imagine there were some growing pains bringing your boys in and kind of that whole transition and setting roles and all those kind of things. Were there some things that either made that a little bit easier for you or some difficulties that were involved in that process?
You know, we didn't really have too much trouble. I mean, as you can probably tell what I described, I was probably way overworked when they were coming
Right.
in. So the adjustment would have been being more profitable. I think Sean brought a lot of knowledge of what the industry should, what the cost should be for the industry, that kind of stuff. I think
Right.
when I started, I was way undercharging. I wasn't giving ourselves enough credit. It wasn't charging enough.
Valuing yourself.
Basically, we were making our wages, but not making much of a profit. We were paying our
Right.
salaries, and that was about it. So when he came in, that was the adjustment to be able to kind of bump things up and get them to where they should be for the industry. So, and I think we've made it there now. It was a couple years worth of getting the numbers right to
Right.
take care of the overhead that we now had, right? So
Yep.
with two extra mouths to feed.
Yeah, 2 more bodies. Yep.
Yep. So, but
So,
other than that, it wasn't. It was pretty good. I mean, he had good knowledge coming in of the bigger projects. I have the knowledge of all the residential stuff. He now knows everything. After working for a couple years, so
Yeah.
I could go golfing.
Perfect. I'll see you out there for sure. So I see it often where the younger generation comes in, especially in a family business, and rather than just kind of just going with the flow and the status quo and running it almost exactly the same, it tends to more often than not be a situation where that younger generation wants to push the envelope a little bit or push the boundaries of where you guys are normally working and kind of either grow or kind of create their own little legacy inside the business. Is that something you see your boys doing, or is that something that they've kind of expressed some interest in? Or
Actually, for my experience, it's been a little of the different, more of the opposite. I kind of like to. I have this idea about going doing this, I'm going to do that, and the boys will say, we don't have the resources, we can't do that.
Right.
Me being from high tech, it's not like they came in and revamped the company because I'm kind of a techie already.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I think that's a little different than a lot of contractors. A lot of contractors
sure.
don't come from
Yeah.
the tech world, right?
Right.
So I already have the gadgets. I already, I already do all that kind of stuff. So I think it was more he was scaling me back to be profitable rather than
Right.
scaling up to do different things. So.
Well, and I think I think that's definitely a smart process, right? I mean, get to a point where you can be profitable and then maybe set those systems in place on a bigger scale so that you can grow. But yeah, if that's something obviously that you guys are looking to do, but for sure you got to have those systems in place first before you can grow. It's if you get too big too fast and you don't have the infrastructure behind it, it can be a scary place to be.
Yeah, and I don't think we ran into that pitfall. I think we had the infrastructure and we just needed to scale up to fit the infrastructure.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
Well, we got to find you some more guys, man. I want to see what you guys can do on a bigger scale. I think you guys could definitely be out there kind of challenging some numbers for sure.
Yeah, well, maybe all those wannabe contractors will come work for me and we'll teach them how to do
There you
it.
go. There you go. What is it? It's all about mergers and acquisitions nowadays, right? I mean, I feel like everybody's either being acquired or acquiring somebody else, and to make it a little bit easier for them for sure.
Yep.
So what's the future look like for you guys? Where do you see it headed ideally? What is I mean, obviously you want out, or not want out, but you see yourself kind of scaling back, but
Yeah, I'm scaling back. I think Adam's really my older son who just came on. He's not experienced enough to know where he wants to go yet, but I think Sean does. I think Sean would like to get more into the prefab stuff and do things like that. So I think that's where he's kind of headed with it. Probably
creating a network inside that little niche.
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool.
Other than that, no big changes. I mean, we like what we're doing, and it allows us to be kind of flexible. Even with the management as well as the employees. This is a kind of a flexible industry. If they need days off to do something,
right,
they get it. If we need days off to do something, we take it, and it all works out. And we're doing something we love to do. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, and it seems like you guys got it pretty set right now with the boys in there, and kind of making everybody's life easier for sure. I wanted to go back. I meant to mention something at the beginning when you said coming from that customer service background that you kind of had that experience in communicating with people, and I have to imagine obviously that has been pretty big. I worked in restaurants for a long time and actually come from a restaurant management background. I worked my way up into restaurants management, and I always thought to myself, or I always tell people that I feel like everyone should have to work in a restaurant for a couple weeks to a month just to kind of understand how to communicate with people, right?
That's what my wife feels too, right?
Yeah, I feel like aside from a driver's license, more importantly, you need to learn a little bit of customer service, right? Like there's something to be said for knowing how to communicate with somebody who's not happy with you, and problem resolution and courtesy and all those kind of things, and biting your tongue sometimes and maybe not mouthing off.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the learning that you do need to. There's a battle there that even if you wanted it, you lose. So why fight the battle, right? So
Yep.
So I
love that. Even if you wanted it, you lose. Before you even start, you lose. Yeah.
My advice to anybody who does want to become a contractor or get into this business, I think it's very, very simple. You give the customer a decent price, and that does not mean a low price. That means a decent price. That means you're in the business to make money. You've got to make money. Okay. You show up when you said you're going to show up, and you do what you said you were going to do. It's that simple. It's not rocket science.
And when you screw up, own it rather than trying to cover it up or
Right? I mean, screw-ups happen. And I even tell my employees, I mean, they get, oh, I did this. Yeah. Okay. But we'll learn from it. We'll fix it. So it's that simple. Just do what you said you were going to do and show up when you say you're going to show up,
Yep.
And
especially in the residential world, right? I mean, because to them, you're invading their home. I say invading, but you're an intruder in their home basically, and they want you in and out as quickly as possible, doing exactly what they ask you to do, or they expect you to do, right? And what I always told my servers when I was in restaurant management was that the customer's expectation or their what do I always say? Dang it, I forgot it now. Their perception is reality. Sorry, perception. That's the word I was looking for. Their perception is reality, right? So it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. If whatever they think is the reality you have to live in, because anything otherwise, like you said, if that's a battle you want to take, you're going to lose. Because if you don't lose the argument, you lose them as a customer, and you lose, their ability to go out and tell other people, about what you're doing.
They got two other things that I would strongly advise, and that is, and I'm teaching my kids this as well. You don't keep the customer informed. You don't have to have the answer. They just need to know you're looking for it, right?
Yep.
Same with the restaurant industry. Someone goes and sits down, the waiter doesn't show up for 20 minutes, right? But if the waiter comes by and said, "Hey, I'm really busy. I see you're here. I'll get to you. Don't worry." At least that little bit, and then sit for 20 minutes.
Buy you a little bit of time, yeah.
Right. Same with my customers. You know what? We're working on a job. We're not quite, something's held us up. We don't have an answer for them yet. Get in touch with them. Say, "Hey, we know you're still out there. We're working on it. Don't worry." That little bit of warm and fuzzy goes a long way.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. And the other thing is strictly for construction work is clean work site. I don't know how many customers I've had tell me how impressed they were with my guys cleaning up every night. I didn't get the praise that the job was great or this or that. They said, "These guys had my workplace, my house, immaculate every night when they left." And that's important. That is one of the most important things.
You're in their home, right?
Yep. You're dealing
It goes a long way.
with customers. You're dealing with the two most precious things: their money and their home. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I think that goes a long way. I think that probably makes more of an impression than the end result of the job, right? Because the end result they expected. That's what they wanted, right? And that's what they expected. So at the end of the day, you're really doing what they asked you to do. But when you can go in there and be clean every day and be above and beyond on that level, I think that probably sets more of an or creates more of an impression than anything else.
Yep, and that's the first thing I teach all my new guys. Hey, this place is clean every night. So.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Well, this has been awesome, Mike. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of let everybody know where to find you or how to find your work or get a hold of you if they need you next August, maybe.
All right. Yeah. It's AMS Construction, and the website is amsconstruction.info, info.com was taken.
Yep.
And
that works.
And the phone number?
Sure.
925-640-9965 is
perfect.
That's my cell phone. I usually take most of the calls still, so
there you go.
Even if I'm on the golf course, I'll answer.
What's your handicap?
It's
Do you have one?
huge.
Huge.
Yeah, like 25. I don't know, something like
That's
that.
perfect. We could play together with for sure. That's right in line. That sounds awesome. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Mike, it's been awesome. Thanks so much. Hopefully we'll see some good stuff from you guys in the future, and I look forward to staying in touch.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you had a good time, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get all the latest episodes. And if you had a really good time, leave a review to let us know what you thought. Until then, go gather some crazy stories on your job sites, and we'll see you next time on So, You Want to Be a Contractor.